Morning from Jerusalem. I'm Yalda Hakim, and we've woken up in the early hours of the morning to learn that Israel has launched an attack on Iran. Now, we are being told that this attack is limited. There is still very little information coming out, but we have learned from various sources that this strike was limited. But the fact remains that Israel has attacked Iran almost a week after Iran attacked Israel. So the situation here is escalating, and it is a very tense time. Let me bring in our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, who's here with me in Jerusalem. And Alistair, all week we heard that there might be a potential strike back from Israel. And in the early hours of this morning, that's exactly what's happened.
It is. The Israeli government had been taking a lot of advice from their allies, President Biden saying take the win, Lord Cameron and the German foreign minister both in Israel this week, also trying to gently nudge Israel away from anything that could lead us into the path of war. But ultimately, Netanyahu was clear. Israel would always do what it felt was in its own best interest and in the interest of its future security. And
hey, Melissa Radio, good to see you, bro.
Much doubt that Israel was
sorry, I just got back from the party. Otherwise, I'd have been able to listen to the thing
and now
on the phone.
we know, or we're starting to find out at least, what that response is.
Indeed, and this is as you say, a tense moment. And now, I mean, the ball is very much in Iran's court.
Yeah, I think so. So I
got to call my girlfriend here shortly.
It is the early hours, so we must caveat all of this. And
mute myself.
The news is unfolding, and we are learning more about what has happened. But it looks as though there has been a strike on an airbase in the Iranian city of Isfahan. Now, I think that is significant for two reasons. Firstly, it is quite close to an Iranian nuclear facility, I think a research facility.
I like your humor.
Now, there's no suggestion that facility has been hit whatsoever, but it does send a message from Israel to Iran that, you know, we can go there if we want to, and we're not frightened to if we're pushed to do so in the future. But secondly, the base that's hit, I think, is connected to Iran's military aviation industry. And so it wouldn't be a surprise to me if we learned that perhaps some of the drones that were flown here on Saturday night were manufactured, or part of the drones were manufactured at that airbase. So that sort of draws a link. And so it suggests that Israel's response has been carefully calibrated and thought through. Netanyahu would have had a menu of options on the table provided to him by the Israeli Defense Forces. Probably at the top would have been strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities and maybe assassination attempts on senior individuals. And then it would have been down in a sort of decreasing scale. I would put this lower down the scale. If this is it, and we don't know, but if this is it, I would put it lower down the scale. So the question is, what happens next? And that is down to Iran. Does Iran see this as an escalation it needs to respond to, or does it somehow try to downplay it?
Yeah, I mean, when we think about the timeline of the past 6 months, I mean, we see October 7 take
from actual action. Iranians will often, but what they do in terms of their actions can be far more considered. The Israelis will deny until they're blue in the face that anyway part of the Iranian diplomatic compact.
are seeing these tensions.
There we
We
go.
are seeing these tensions between these two states really wrap, and in the last few days, the war of words
so
really
should be
ratcheted
good to
up
go.
as well.
Yeah, I would always be careful to separate the war of words from actual action. Particularly the Iranians will often speak with a lot of emotion, but actually what they do in terms of their actions can be far more careful and far more considered. The Israelis will deny until they're blue in the face that what they hit in Damascus was in any way part of the Iranian diplomatic compound. I've got to be honest, I think even amongst their allies, they don't really have much support in that argument. I think most people see it as, saw that as quite a moment. And they took out this senior general, Iranian general, who's connected to Hezbollah, and 6 other Iranian officers. So, you know, we can argue, and people will argue whether that was the start of it or not, but it was really the start of this current sort of round of crisis between Israel and Iran. Iran then takes its time to respond, and we saw that what it did on Saturday night. Now, I think a lot of people say what Iran did was an escalation. 300 plus drones, missiles, and ballistic missiles fired at Israel. And it was the ballistic missiles that for Israel were the red line. Now, 4 or 5 days later, we have Israel's response to that. And I would read this actually as lesser. I don't see them actually doing more, escalating, but slightly less. And diplomats I've been speaking to this week, what they want to see is that this crisis would gradually, like a falling leaf, start to sort of drift and fizzle out with increasingly lesser events going on. This could be that. It could be that, depending on what the Iranians decide to do.
Indeed. Thanks so much, Ali, for all of that. And of course, we will be going back to Ali in a moment for all of his assessment. But let's go to Israel. And Alex, we woke up in the early hours of this morning, and as Israel has responded to Iran's attack last week.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, certainly the indications from the Israelis were that they would hit back. It would be a military response. Bearing in mind it needs to be a military response.
So I'm wondering if it's not my internet,
Saturday,
because the hotel internet is not super great. I mean, I've got a good connection to it.
Remember,
but what
they are doing,
I'm
it's not
seeing
the blind
is
use of force. It sends signals, it's messaging, it's strategic, and it's tactical in nature. So it would make sense that they hit a base
I'm not
in
sure why
Iran,
my camera
where some of
is
those
like
drones were
freaking out.
manufactured.
It
That
makes
would
no
have a
sense
logic to it.
that should be
But the
happening,
fact
but
that it is
apparently
most
it is,
likely
so
limited in nature,
we have a
also
series of
suggests
problems,
that perhaps
but
it's
we're gonna
de-escalatory.
ride
There's
this
a
out and see
chance
if we
here
get
for the
out of it. If
Iranians
anybody's got any
to
questions, let me
deny
know in the chat. If you're
happened
new
or
to the
deny
chat,
that
do me
there
a
was
favor, hit that
significant
subscribe
damage,
button. Also,
and
the thumbs
they
up
can
button
now
brings
move
more people
past
in.
this incident.
I'll keep this
I
going
think the
as
other
long
thing
as
to
it's
bear in mind
pertinent.
is
Just
whether
trying to
or not
gather
this
more
is the end
information
of it.
and
Remember,
keep
we're
the
winding
fear
back to April
porn
the 1st.
at a minimum,
That was a
because that is
covert
all
strike
that is
attributed
on
to
all
the
the big
Israelis
channels.
and
Everybody is
denied by the
freaking the
Israelis,
hell
part
out.
of what is known here as the shadow war that's been fought by Iran and Israel for many years. Iran uses what's known as its axis of resistance, its proxies in the region to attack
Let's see here.
Israelis.
Intense
Now, the
weekend
message that the
secret
Iranians
looks like there is
can't carry on in the shadows anymore. You
good
can't
as
attack our
mine.
nuclear scientists. You
I
can't
gotcha.
attack our Iranian generals without there being
I
some
also
kind
think
of
that
response.
I can't turn that
So
off.
do we see this
There we go.
overt, which sends the
Hell, I
signal
may not turn
to
another
the
one on.
Iranians that they can't launch missiles? We aren't fearful, Israel says, and we will strike back, and we will strike deep in Iranian territory. We'll strike a city where drones were perhaps manufactured, where your nuclear program is. But also, we are going to
I'm hitting the reload button, guys. I'm hitting the reload button. Come on now. The world is not ending, no matter what YouTube says. Is the thing still on? Hello? Says there's 9 people in there. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. Super. So what I'm seeing is that the software is being overwhelmed as well. This whole crazy stuff on YouTube is doing some real crazy stuff because everybody is in like road rage mode. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, if you've got your water, food, and security, then you're good to go. It looks like the internet came back up, so I'm going to try this again. When things go bad, don't run away. Just give it a second, and if it comes back, it comes back. But that's the only way I'm going to be able to keep.
We aren't fearful,
you guys
Israel
this
says, and we will strike back, and we will strike deep in Iranian territory. We will strike a city where drones were perhaps manufactured, where your nuclear program is. But also, we are going to carry on with the shadow war, and we haven't seen that yet. Does Israel carry on? Will we see an attack which is
just remember to make sure that you're subscribed,
causes some
and
serious
those of you that normally subscribe,
to the Iranian regime. So we watch that. I think underlying all of this, of course, is that this remains an extraordinarily dangerous moment. Israel is facing crises on multiple fronts. The war against Hamas
Let's
is
see what it looks like when
finished.
69
on the
people
northern
do
border
this, man.
here in Israel.
If you love your
for a daily
country,
exchange.
type a
There's
number
a
1 in the
war
chat.
going on, Yalda, between Hezbollah and the Israeli military. That itself is enough of a flashpoint to cause a more significant war, which could tumble, which would have its own deadly logic into a far greater regional conflict. So this is a really dangerous time, but we wait, of course, to see what the Iranian reaction is now to this Israeli attack.
Indeed. Alex, thank you so much for your analysis there. Let's go live now to Alex Crawford, who joins us from Beirut. And Alex, as Alex Rossi was saying there in northern Israel, I mean, this really is a dangerous moment. Everyone is now watching very closely to how the Iranians will respond, although Iranian state media is now trying to play this down. And we've heard from the Americans that this was a limited strike.
I think everyone behind the scenes will be doing just that, trying to play it down, because certainly all the people that we've been speaking to over the past few days, those within Hezbollah, those very close to Hezbollah, the politicians here in Lebanon, some of those connected to Hezbollah, some of those just part of the Lebanese government, all stressing that they don't want war, that also very carefully underlined they don't fear war.
They were like,
and
okay, guys, we're going to let you know.
Very much in the Israeli court.
We're going to go blow up Iran
we
now.
were surrounded by a number of Hezbollah fighters yesterday, huge crowds of Hezbollah supporters and loyalists at a funeral. There are multiple funerals every week from the cross-border exchanges with those saw the families for those who belong to Hezbollah, but as
Yeah.
foreigners and as
It's the hotel internet, I think. I may have to give up on this, but I'm not going to do it just yet. We're going to give it a chance because it's like I'm seeing the original numbers come back each time. It's really, I don't know what else to say. All right, I think that's the best we're going to be able to get out of this tonight, guys. As usual, don't lose your minds over this. We'll just pay attention to it, see what happens. Don't lose any sleep over it. Enjoy your lives, because that's what life is about, living. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm normally here Monday through Fridays, 9 a.m. Eastern to 10 a.m. Eastern, and get a few videos here and there. Made a pretty cool one. Thanks for trying to hang out. Stay safe. Have a great day, and I'll see you when I see you guys. Bye-bye.
This whole Middle East war, and that is the Lebanese-Israeli border, where they are having